Well, you mentioned this a little earlier.
Yep.
About NFL defenses adjusting and adapting to the times. We showed the stat earlier about the touchdown passes down 37% from just 3 years ago. A lot of that is due to teams playing too high safeties. Mina Kimes tweeted out that in week 1, 61% of snaps across the entire NFL from a defensive standpoint featured too high safeties. And with our 2 former NFL defensive backs on, I figured this was the perfect day to ask this question. What makes, from an offensive perspective, going up against these too high safety looks so difficult and challenging to sustain and then eventually score in the red zone? Why is that the newest trend in the NFL, Tyvis? And is there a counter coming from an offensive standpoint to kind of buck the trend and swing the pendulum back into the favor of the offensive side?
Well, I think it eliminates explosive plays. I mean, you think about how people get down the field quickly is because they get a deep shot post route or something like that. If you got 2 safeties that's deep, corners know, all right, if I get beat deep, I got a safety that's over the top. These quarterbacks have to be very accurate to be able to drop it in the basket between 2 defenders. That's very hard to do, and you're risking a lot. So I think that's why when you think about Patty Mahomes, you think about Josh Allen, you think about these quarterbacks with these strong arms, you wanted to eliminate those explosive and go to Bill Belichick route. Make these drives 15, 16 play drives, because in those 15 or 16 plays, there's going to be a holding call. There's going to be an offsides. There's going to be something that goes on that's going to derail that entire drive, and you're going to get off the field. So I think, especially early on, that's why. And then you want these quarterbacks, they got to warm their arm up. For them not playing in the preseason, it's hard to go out there and just rip things deep. So everybody's progression, starting slow and then building their way up as the game goes on to opening up the ball and getting the ball down the field. So I think running this too high look is great. Now, you got to have really good receivers. How to counter this is what you see the Browns do, or you see a lot of these other teams do. Get a Debo, get the run mesh routes, make them crisscross so they can get rubbed off, get the ball in the receiver's hand. You need to chill out. You got to chill out. You got to chill. You get the ball in the receiver's hands and let them make plays with their legs. Stop it, G. Stop it, because it really wasn't that bad. It really was not that bad. But get the ball in these receivers' hands and let them make plays with their legs, and that's what you're starting to see.
Dustin?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you took the words out of my mouth when you mentioned Belichick, because that was the first thing that I thought of, is that you force teams to be methodical and go down the field, 11, 12, 15 plays. It just doesn't happen that often. It's difficult, because things happen. Penalties happen. You got to convert third downs. The Browns converted 2 out of 14. Those are not easy downs to convert. What they're trying to do, I think that all these cover 2 looks basically are teams trying to stop Patrick Mahomes, essentially, because of the big plays. And those are how a team like the Chiefs are able to thrive. And if you make them continue to go down and not, have these huge chunk plays that give them multiple scoring opportunities, it's huge. I played at Ohio State with Jim Tressel and Mark D'Antonio as our coordinator, and we were a bend but don't break defense like crazy. Anybody watching this show remembers the early 2000 Buckeyes? That's what we were. We played cover 3. I gave tons of cushion. I heard tons of people going crazy about how bad I suck at playing corner. The coaches told me to play 7 yards off and back up. It's cover 3. That's what we did. However, it worked. We were fine with letting teams go 75 yards and take 3 points. 3 points. Yeah. We made it low-scoring games. The Browns need to do that. The Browns yesterday's game where they score 1 touchdown. I'm not saying that's ideal, but to be able to still win a game like that, the Steelers are playing right now too, that's huge.
I think teams that prioritize the run game, and it might sound stupid, the run game's travel, man. And look, if you want to, teams get kind of intoxicated with them big plays. When you throwing the ball downfield, it look real sexy. It feels good to drop bombs on people, and guys are getting 75-yard touchdowns, and the Tyreek Hills of the world is moving around and doing all this other stuff. Some of the stuff that they're doing is, all right, well, now because you are a predominant passing team, now you're relinquished to and vanquished to hey, these little dink and dunk and check down stuff, more like almost an inverted West Coast feel where you're letting guys get run after catch. But the teams that are going to mix in, that's why Kevin Stefanski, you look at this high power offense that they touted and all this other stuff. I think Kevin Stefanski week 2 said, hold on. I'm comfortable with 4 or 5 linemen in the game. I'm comfortable with running the football. And you notice when you got linebackers or corners that got to come up and tackle people, like now all of a sudden I do a little run fake and I stick the ball out there. Now magically I got a whole lot of space because you got to respect that.
Well, to go off of that, when you think about how the linebacker body type is transitioned, because it's been more of a passing league. So we don't see the Brian Urlachers at linebacker anymore. You see the JOKs because these guys can move in space. They can cover guys.
Yeah.
Now the run game becomes more important because trying to make a smaller guy deal with that like this over 17 games, their body's going to take a beating at some point, and it's not going to be the same. So that run game, to G's point, maybe not so more towards the beginning, but towards the end of the year is going to be a big difference.
There's a lot of interesting things at play here. We've seen a trend in the last couple of years of of passing yards going down, of long touchdowns going down, but at least through the first 2 weeks, it's been a dramatic change.
But Adam, I think this is just anything where it's almost like a stock market where things are going to go high, they're going to go.
Yeah.
People are going to figure out how to slow teams down. I remember in the early 2000s, it was Northwestern football, and Zach Kustok was the quarterback, and they ran this spread offense that blew everyone away in college football. They had 5 wide receivers, and their spread, and it took forever. Purdue did it too, by the way.
Yeah.
With Kyle Orton and company, and John Standiford, and these guys, Taylor Stubblefield running those little bubble screens. Guess what? Teams figured it out.
Yeah.
And those teams couldn't do it anymore at the high clip that they could. And I'm not saying that it's gone, but teams are figuring out how to stop a Patrick Mahomes, how to stop a Lamar Jackson. And to your guys' point about the linebackers like JOK, those guys help with everything.
I think it's going to be fascinating to see going forward. Are we getting back to the days where we're going to run the ball a lot more?
Yeah.
I mean, in recent years, the Ravens and maybe the Eagles have been the only teams that run more than they pass. I mean, it used to be years ago everybody did, and then it was like 50-50. Now it's like, well, every team throws more than they run.
Are you saying?
But I wonder if we're going to see that.
You saying running backs are important again? I tell you what.
But here's the thing: if you're a team and you're paying these quarterbacks a ton of money, it's interesting. But there's going to be other teams that are like, well, we can pay a running back nothing, and now I saw a stat the other day where they have all these analytics where running plays have now for the first time in like 17 years become a more efficient play than a passing play. I don't know how they figure that out.
Well,
exactly,
probably for the first 2 weeks. For
the first 2 weeks. And what is interesting though, and Mike, I don't know if we could figure this out if we have this information, but I looked to see how many, because I said, well, they're all throwing shorter passes, right? We're seeing more dinking and dunking
underneath
down the
stuff.
field.
Yeah.
So I said, I wonder if guys are completing a higher percentage of passes. There are 16 quarterbacks so far this year, it's only 2 games obviously, that have completed 67% of their passes or higher. Last year there were 9 for the season. Now that's a whole year.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was after week 2, but I bet it wasn't 16. 67% is a high completion percentage. Right now Joe Burrow's like 14th at 68%. Like last year that would have been 6th or 7th. So guys are throwing a bunch of short passes. So we're seeing a more efficient passing game, I guess, in a way, but it's just not producing big plays.
I tell you,
real quick. So what exactly do you want to look up? I'll find it for you.
Completion
percentage after week 2 last year.
Yeah.
I got you.
Thank you.
I tell you what, G-Dub, Greg Williams was 6 to 7 years too early.
Yep, he had dudes playing.
Because he had, when I was there for the OTAs, we was
Yeah.
playing 22 yards off the ball.
Oh my God.
Jabril Peppers, remember?
Peppers was at midfield, and they were at the 10-yard line.
Yeah. off the
Didn't
ball.
he just get a new contract with? What is he?
He's actually been a pretty good player.
I thought he was with the Patriots. He ain't with the Patriots?
Oh,
no
the
more?
Patriots. You're right.
He's been here.
I'm about to say he's been pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Well, here's what you do: you zig when they zag. Like, if I'm a coach and I'm seeing the evolution of the passing game, and you got to think about it, it starts at a high school level. Kids are more used to throwing the football, catching the football at lower divisions in high school, college than ever before. If you are now a coach and you're in the NFL, you're thinking about it. All right, what's my advantage? if I don't, yes, I have a quarterback that I'm paying a lot of money to, but that's just the price of engagement, right? But all things aren't equal. Trevor Lawrence makes a boatload of money. Is he better than Patrick Mahomes? No. So yes, you in theory have a franchise quarterback. However, you don't have the same output that they have. So where can I get an advantage? Well, look, if they're going to come out with small linebackers and they got everybody's a rush end and there's no really huge three techniques anymore, or the Tony Saragusas and the Adams of the world and the big linebackers, and safeties are now corners. The new safeties are corners, right?
That's true.
And so now what I'll do is I'll say, okay, well, here's how we're going to work this thing. We're going to come out in our 12 personnel and we're going to run this football.
Yeah.
And now it puts the onus on the defense to say, look, man, do you want your small linebackers and safeties that ain't even really tackling people? Yeah. They got to come up and make these plays.
I don't know about that because C.J. Gardner-Johnson's met Bijan in the hole.
Yeah. And I wonder if it's going to change now over the next few years. You know, when I was a kid, I'm all older than all you guys, every team had a fullback, but not just a fullback. It was a fullback that was kind of like a running back, too. Mm-hmm. He was just like a bigger running back.
Mike Allstott.
I mean, Roger Craig was a fullback. You think of him as a great player.
John Riggins, man.
John Riggins was a fullback.
Shout out to Lawrence Vickers.
I wonder if you'll
Larry Vickers, man.
The great Larry Vickers. Our fans love him.
That's funny.
I wonder if we'll see, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, we'll see, because back in those days, in the late 70s and the 80s, you had a lot of teams that had 2 feature running backs. And, you don't really have that anymore.
You want the fullback to come back.
Well, whether it's the fullback coming back, which I think is part of it, or just having 2 stud backs, because I could pay 2 stud backs $25 million total and have just a decent quarterback. Can I win that way now? For the last decade, I've been saying you can't win without a great quarterback. You can't win without a great quarterback. Maybe that's changing again. We'll see.
I don't know that we'll
see. I'm not ready to go that far yet.
After 2 weeks, but I do think that there is some evolution to the game.
Yeah.
I mean, look at us wearing all these retro kicks, Jordan kicks. I mean, things always sort of come back, right? Yeah. You know, and I don't know, man. There's more than one way to win a football game.
That's it. There are 5,000 ways to win a football game, and sometimes
philosophy, man.
You don't know which way it's going to take. Hey, you get into a game and it's close, all bets are off. In the second quarter, all bets are off.
I don't think we're at the point where it was like that Ravens team that won with nobody at quarterback. Or I don't think we're there. But maybe you can win with an average quarterback. Maybe you don't have to be great. You can't win with a terrible quarterback, but
like a Flacco.
Well, I would say like Baker.
Like Baker?
Yeah, maybe you can. I don't know.
I mean, Jimmy G.
He's got to show he's not going to throw a pick in the playoffs.
Average quarterback to you?
I would say he's above average.
I think he's above average. Yeah.
Bull, what was the number you at? 67%?
Yeah, how many quarterbacks through 2 weeks last year had a 67% completion percentage or better?
So I have the raw numbers. So mental math. According to my mental math, which
You're
maybe
not good
slightly
at that.
off. Jared Goff, Geno Smith,
Yeah.
Tua,
Yeah.
and I think that's it.
So if Mike's math is right, it's probably off. So let's say there's 5 guys.
Give or take. It's nowhere near. It's nowhere near what it was.
According to his math, there were 3 guys that completed 67% of their passes through 2 weeks last year. This year we have 16. And what that tells you, they're throwing short. It's all these short passes, screen passes, quick slants, whatever. It's just
so why pay them all that money?
Well, I mean, that could be the next trend.
So the interesting thing is, Brock Purdy's the next guy that's probably up, right, to get paid.
And he's actually leading the league in passing yards per game right now.
What do you think happens? The first quarterback, the first quarterback that's we not. Everybody else is getting 60. We giving you 40.